So a while back I looked into the names of the 5 boroughs that make up New York City, and while 5 boroughs is certainly impressive, London has 33. So let's stop wasting time and take the tube on this etymological whistle-stop tour of the capital city of my home country, London. In the centre of Greater London lies the city's ancient core, still maintaining more or less its original boundaries that were placed in medieval times. Greater London includes all of its boroughs, but this core borough is also called the City of London, and just to make things more complicated, it's not technically a borough. The City of London borough is pretty weird, but we're here to look at its name. The name London has its root in the Roman name for the city. They gave the city the name Londinium. However, where this name came from remains a mystery, although we have a couple ideas. 2 of those ideas come from the names of mythical people, one of these being the pre-Roman king of Britain, King Lud, another being that it was named after someone of mythology called Londino, this name coming from the Celtic word wild or fierce. Yet some think that the name comes more from geography than people, with the idea London was originally Lindin or Lindane, coming from the Welsh term Lakefort, referencing London being situated by the Thames. However, this video is about all the boroughs of London, not just the City of London itself. The City of Westminster Borough is next to the City of London, and is home to things like Big Ben, Buckingham Palace and Trafalgar Square. The name is to be named after the minister of the famous Abbey Church, now also known as Westminster Abbey, with the West coming from the fact that the borough is west to the main city of London. Kensington and Chelsea, despite having 2 names, is just one borough. Both these names are Anglo-Saxon in origin. Kensington is thought to come from Cheneston, the town of the Chenesi people who originally lived on the land. Chelsea is thought to come from the Anglo-Saxon Chelchafi, meaning chalk landing place. Like the previous Kensington and Chelsea, Hammersmith and Fulham are 2 one borough with 2 names. Hammersmith has perhaps one of the most obvious names. It was a place of importance for metal workers, also known as metal smiths, who would of course have worked with hammers. Fulham comes from the word full and ham, being the place of fouls/mud, as Fulham occupies a bend in the River Thames, and when the river would flood, the land would get rather muddy and full of water birds. Going south from the City of London, we have the borough of Wandsworth. The name first appeared in the Domesday book, which was a nationwide survey in 1086, so no, not as scary as it sounds. The name in the book, however, was Wandersword, meaning an enclosure of a man named Wyandol, who is believed to have been a person of importance in the land at the time. Lambeth, east of Wandsworth, has a rather simple etymology. The name means landing place for lambs, coming from originally Lambethia, though it doesn't seem to be quite as full of farms or lambs anymore. Historically, the borough of Southwark was part of the county of Surrey, and its name relates to this. The land was originally settled by Romans and originally recorded as these names, I'm not attempting to say any of those, and translates to the defensive works of the men of the south, those southern men meaning the men of Surrey. Tower Hamlets is quite simply named after one of the most popular landmarks in the borough, the Tower of London, with the Hamlets part of the name referring to the small villages and hamlets that surrounded the tower in ancient times. Despite clearly not being an island, the borough of Hackney's name comes from a word for an island, or at least a raised piece of land in marshland. The name was first recorded in 1198 CE as Hockenleg, meaning Hacker's Island. This is thought to be an island that is on the River Lear, which runs through the modern borough of Hackney. So who is Hacker? Hacker is thought to be the name of a Dane who owned this island at the time, with the name of the island coming to be the name for the entire area. Some feel that Islington should actually be called Islingdon, as Don is the suffix for a hill and can be seen with other London places such as Wimbledon. The land was formerly governed by Mr. Gisler, and the land being called Gislardon in 1005 CE. As time went on, the G was dropped and the name transformed to Islington. Camden is perhaps most famous for its market, yet the name of Camden is thought to come from the man who owned the land in the late 18th century, that being Charles Pratt, 1st Earl of Camden. His seat as Earl was in Camden Place, which was in Kent, named after William Camden, who lived there in 1906. The borough of Brent got its name from the river that runs through it, the River Brent. The name Brent is incredibly old, perhaps one of the oldest names in London, predating the Anglo-Saxons and the Romans. It is thought to come from the Celtic word meaning holy one or high place. Ealing has its name rooted in the name of the Anglo-Saxon settlers who are thought to have settled there in the first place. These settlers were the Gila people, and their land was called Gilungas, Crocus. While this sounds nothing like the modern name we know, this name shifted over the years from Yealing to Zealing to Ealing, until Ealing, the name we know it as today, was settled upon. Hounslow's name isn't as clear to us. It could either mean an area of land fit for hunting, or named after a hill claimed by someone called Hund, or even a whole tribe called the Hundi. Some of these etymologies unfortunately lost to the ravages of time. There are two boroughs that end with upon Thames to differentiate themselves from other places in England with the same name. The first of these being Richmond upon Thames. Richmond upon Thames was named after King Henry VII, who before being king was Earl of Richmond, named after the town of Richmond in Yorkshire. The second upon Thames is Kingston upon Thames, the birthplace of a certain etymological extraordinaire. Like Richmond, there's also a Kingston in Yorkshire, and Jamaica now that I think about it, so the upon Thames helps differentiate them. Its name is pretty obvious. It comes from the title Legia Villa, meaning the king's town. Merton's name comes from one of two possible sources. It was either named after someone called Merlia, meaning Maria's homestead, or from the Saxon term farm by the pool. There's more logic in this latter idea, as Merton is on the banks of a river, hence why the term pool might be involved due to flooding at the time. Sutton's name too comes from farmland, first recorded in the aforementioned Domesday book, recorded this time as Sutton, coming from the Old English Soth and Ton, meaning south farm, as Sutton is one of the most southern boroughs of London. Yet the southernmost borough is Croydon. Now, despite Croydon being known as something of a concrete jungle, and Croydon even sounding somewhat like concrete, the name couldn't be further removed from this concrete image. The name actually means the valley where wild saffron grows, coming from the Old English crow, which is connected to the modern name for the plant crocus. The flowers were thought to grow on the land 1,200 years ago. Next to Croydon is Bromley, which is the largest borough in all of Greater London. Bromley's name is actually related to brooms, though not the kind witches and wizards will ride, but the shrub called brooms. The name means the open field where the broom bushes grow. Lewisham too has a floral etymology. The earliest Saxon name for the borough is Levisham, meaning house among the meadows. Lewis is Saxon for meadow. The ham part is a commonplace suffix meaning dwelling. Greenwich, as well as the name for a London borough, is of course where the name Greenwich Mean Time comes from, the base time in which all other time zones are measured. The name Greenwich also comes from Anglo-Saxon origins, coming from the name Greenowick, meaning green place on the bay, as the borough was, and still is, covered with greenery. The name Bexley was also recorded in the Domesday book under the name Bix and later Bixel. The name means a couple things of similar meaning. It's thought to either mean pasture by the stream or box tree clearing. Taking a step away from the pastoral named boroughs of London, we have Havering. Havering is named after the Royal Liberty of Havering, a royal manor that used to be on the land. The last borough to have two names is Barking and Dagenham. Both these names come from ancient Anglo-Saxon phrases. Barking either means settlement by the birch trees, or is named after a local ancient chief called Beraka. Deaka is thought to have been a landowner in the area too, and is thought to be where the name Dagenham comes from. While there is no longer a red bridge in Redbridge, there once was, and it was this unique red bridge in which the borough was named after. The red bridge was a big deal as most bridges at the time were made of white bricks, not red ones. While the bridge may be gone, the name still celebrates it. Newham is one of the newest boroughs of London. It came to be in 1965 and is formed of the earlier East Ham and West Ham. The latter lives on as a football team. And of course the new in Newham is because of the fact that it is a new borough. Waltham Forest Borough is named after exactly what you think it is, a forest named Waltham. The name Waltham, however, was originally Welcomstow, meaning a welcome place. Haringey is named after a Saxon chief, Halling. The name of this chief is also where the places of Haringey and Hornsey come from. Enfield is London's most northern borough, and it has similar roots with another borough of London, Lambeth. Enfield is thought to mean open land of a man named Anna, or where lambs are reared, after the Old English word for lamb, Eon, so it's either Eona's field or Lambfield, much like the sheepish origins of Lambeth. The name of Barnet has its origins in fire. It's thought to come from the Anglo-Saxon word barnet, which means clearing a woodland by burning, with the name being first recorded in 1070 CE as Barneto. Harrow's name comes from the fact that it is on Harrow Hill, but the name itself is thought to come from Haeg, meaning heathen shrine. And finally, we have the borough of Hillingdon. As we mentioned earlier, the Don suffix means hill, and it's thought to have come from a hill owned by someone called Hilla, or Hillada. So yes, the name is basically Hill. Wow, that was a lot of names explained, and you know, despite being born in London, I had so little knowledge of the city. Before making this video, I didn't know my Enfields from my Suttons, but now I understand the geography and locations of London so much better. I guess the next step will be a series of videos on each line of the London Underground, explaining how each station on that line got its name. That's definitely not something I've been thinking about for a while, but would you guys be interested in that? And of course, thank you to all my awesome patrons. I'm still working on making this my full-time career, so if you can support the channel financially in any way possible, that would be amazing. Just $2 a month gets your name here with all these awesome people. Thank you.